Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is a podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, relationships, and more. Sleeping with Sarah is happy to be part of the Laugh Factory Podcast Network. This is my 34th episode. I interviewed comedian, improviser, and solo sketch performer Shannon Noll. We talked about being vegan, improv versus stand-up, the creation of Trash Baby, and find out what businesses we think are really fronts. You can catch Shannon at We Still Like You the first Saturday of every month at 10 p.m. at Flatiron Comedy in Chicago. Shannon's also on Trigger, which is a sketch review at the Revival this Saturday, November 5th at 8 p.m. You can follow Shannon on Twitter at Snapplegate87 and on Instagram, Shannon L. Noll. That's ShannonLNoll. This weekend, I'll be in New York City doing a few different shows. On Friday, November 4th at 9 p.m., I'll be at Sporadic Comedy at Bushwick Open Studios at Precious Metals. And on November 6th, I'll be at White Chocolate Sundays at the Standing Room. You can check the website for more dates. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week, I'd like to recommend Good Clean Fun, Misadventures in Sawdust at Offerman Woodshop by Nick Offerman. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. Please remember to rate and review on iTunes and iHeartRadio, and follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Let's get started with the show. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and I'm here with my guest, Shannon Noll.
Hey, guys.
How'd you sleep last night, Shannon?
Really sound. I feel like I could still go back to sleep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, are you going to go back to sleep during the podcast?
Possibly. This is really comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you. That was back when I had a real job. I bought a big girl bed, and
this is such a comfortable bed. So you guys know this is like memory foam, yeah?
It's like the eco-friendly version of Tempur-Pedic.
Okay.
So I don't know what it was called. Eco-Pedic or some BS.
I want that.
Yeah. I really just want to get sponsored by a bed company so that way they just buy me a new mattress and I'm just like, hey, I can plug them the whole time. So mattress companies, think about it. So you said you slept pretty well?
Yeah, I slept pretty well.
Do you usually sleep normal?
I sleep really heavy, usually. I always, I'm late to work because I wake up late.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too, all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like comics or creative people typically run late to things.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I was late to this. I don't know. I think it's rude when people say it's rude that you're late.
I think that it's just, sometimes it's our minds. Like, for me, I'll start to go, and then I'll be like, oh, I forgot this thing, and I had to go back and grab it, or...
Yeah.
And I always try to schedule things, where it's, a 30-minute window, where it's hey, I'll be there between 5 and 5:30. Try to get there at 5, and I end up getting there at 5:30.
I think that's a really good idea. I haven't known... there's definitely things, if you're on a shoot, you want to be there on time so that you're not keeping, the crew holding.
Yeah.
Something like that.
If it's, a professional thing where I'm getting, paid... especially for that kind of, then I'm absolutely on time. I lie to myself and say a show starts an hour early or a half hour early so that I get there on time.
Yeah, and for shows and stuff, you want to be on time. And most people aren't, but
well, that's why I always plan things too. It's hey, I want people to get here 15 minutes before I actually need them there,
Yeah.
So that way, because I understand that people are creative and I get it. So, and I'm that way too. So that's why I always just plan it out. That's why... Because almost always, without fail, almost always everybody is late to the podcast interview. They're always 10 to 15 minutes late. And almost always. So you're not the first. I think there's been only one or two people that have been on time. Oh, I can't remember who it was, but I was so shocked. I was wait, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, it's not expected. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I've been trying to be better about it, at least for comedy stuff. And I was trying to be good about it for work too, but lately I've just been I oversleep, and I'll sleep through, I'll wake up and I'm supposed to be at work at 7:30, and I wake up at 7:30, all the time.
Oh, see, I will wake up 10 minutes, late. So I don't have time to shower. I'll just have time to throw on my clothes and, run out the door and make it to work, 10 minutes late.
Oh, yeah.
See,
yeah.
That's what happens to me, but sometimes I've woken up. I've had nightmares where, like, I wake up and I'm like, oh, shit, I gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, I think the stress of that gets to me, and part of my body's just like, fuck it, we're just gonna be as late as possible.
So you're just like, you just take your time. You're like, ah.
Yeah, but then I'm like, when I wake up, I'm like, no, I didn't mean to do that.
I think that people should be more understanding if they're like, hey, I'm running late because I fell asleep, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there's like, I just want a job where it doesn't matter if I'm there on time.
Yeah, why don't they have jobs like that? Like why are there jobs like that? Hey, you know, just get here between 10 and noon, you know, no big deal.
Yeah. I imagine like somebody who's like a professor or like a research like person who's like, they can mosey into their like office whenever.
But they probably work like 60-hour weeks, so it's like...
That's true.
Because if they're working that much, then yeah, they can come in whenever they feel like it.
That's true. Yeah, if it's your whole life.
Or if you're the boss.
Yeah, I want to be the boss. No, I don't.
Do you think you'd be a good boss?
For like 2 weeks, and then I would stop caring about it, and it'd be terrible.
Would you ever want to be the boss of something? Like run like, I don't know, a theater company or something?
No, I think the most I'd want to be a boss of is if I owned like a craft shop.
Yeah?
Like in some small town.
Ah, that's
maybe
cool.
Have like one employee.
Like woodworking or something? Like
yeah, like it'd be like, or like I'm at like a Vermont country store. Like a general store.
Oh, wow. Is this something that you've thought about doing?
It's my fantasy whenever I get fed up with the city. I'm like, I'm going to go start a general store.
Well, you know, like Nick Offerman, he actually has like a woodworking company.
Yeah.
Thing that he does. So I feel like he kind of like ventures out and just is like a nomad out in the country and just like whittles or makes wooden chairs or something.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess it is doable.
I think everyone can. I think you could get city life, country life together.
Yeah.
Because you grew up in California? Connecticut. Sorry. Yeah. Nowhere near each other.
My sister lives in California.
That's what I was confused with. Yeah. Yeah.
She lives in California, and yeah, we grew up in Connecticut, and spent time like any vacation was always to like north, like. To like Vermont or New Hampshire or something like that, or Maine.
I've never been up north to those places. The farthest I've been is like New York, but I've always wanted to. Like I hear like it's gorgeous, like this time of year, with like the orange leaves and everything. I hear like that's like the most romantical, beautiful like fall.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really like I don't know. It's just different from out here. I think it's close to Wisconsin though. It's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your sister and I have something in common. We both have narcolepsy. So yeah. I remember when I first met you, or actually I met you before I started stand-up. I met you at a party. Yeah. Teresa's party.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Teresa's party.
And this is like 6 or 8 months before I started comedy. And so then when I started going to mics, I was like, wait, I know you. Yeah. And then I started doing material about my narcolepsy, and you're like, my sister has narcolepsy. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so you're like one of the first people I felt comfortable talking to. Oh, because when you first start, like the first like 3 or 4 months, like nobody.
Because we started around the same time, right? Like we weren't that much different.
Yeah, like 6 months apart or something.
Yeah, I had probably just started too, and it was because I met you the second time at that open mic up the street, right? At
Merkel's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird with stand-up how it's like nobody talks to you for like the first few months, I feel like, or
yeah. Well, someone like, I think it's kind of true, like someone put it in, or they're like, you don't want to put energy into friendships that you don't know if that person is going to stick around or not.
That's true.
And a lot of people like start and then the first 6 months disappear.
Yeah, they're like, nope, I don't like bombing for 6 months straight, and then they quit.
Right.
And those of us that are crazy just stick it out.
Just keep on doing it.
Well, I feel like the people I felt comfortable with were the people that also like did improv and sketch, because that's where I came from. I came from an improv sketch world, so I was like, oh, people that kind of get me a little bit more, because I feel like a lot of people in stand-up, or at least they pretend to, or they actually like look down on improv, and I don't understand that, because I think that improv is used a lot in stand-up, like a lot of crowd work, a lot of, ideas come improvisationally, but they just look at it as a very different. Yeah,
I think an improvisers look down on stand-up. I think it's changing. Maybe it's just the people I know.
Well, you're bridging the gap. You do it all.
But I think it's like stand-ups in Chicago used to be garbage people. I feel like not all of them, but there were some there were some real hot messes that would go do the improv shows. So I think it's like that's what improvisers for a long time saw and were like,
oh, they just thought that all stand-ups were bad. And you know what? I kind of thought that because I remember being in an improv group and having like a stand-up open for us.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know who it was. I'm not going to, but it was somebody who was like talking to an empty chair.
Yep. I think I know what you're talking about. It was very strange.
And I was just like, is this what stand-up is?
I think the same person, this was like, I want to say like 8 or 9 years ago. It was right when I moved to Chicago. Stuck a dildo with a suction cup onto a stool and addressed that for their entire set.
This person really liked chairs and using chairs.
I wonder if that is got to be the same person. But yeah, it's an interesting... The stand-ups that improvisers for a long time saw were like...
Not good.
Not the ones that... Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the same thing, like the improvisers that the stand-ups see. You know, the stand-ups aren't going to see Messing with a Friend or TJ and Dave or Improv Shakespeare because they don't have openers for them. So they're only seeing the little shows that are indie shows that are put together with openers or that need stand-ups, and those are the only ones they're seeing, so they're not seeing the higher quality.
Yeah.
Not saying that all improv bar shows aren't great, but we've all been there where our team has had 3 shows and we go to a show at the Underground Lounge or something.
Right, yeah. There's like, those early shows, which are important for improv. You got to get them out, and you got to do those reps at bar shows and stuff, I think.
What's the longest group you've been working with? Like, what's the longest time you've worked with one group?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like it couldn't have been more than 2 years, but I've been with Baby Wine at Annoyance for about like a year now, I think. Mm-hmm. And then, I can't remember. There are a few groups that I was with for around a year. Mm-hmm. Move on pretty quick.
I feel that's the way it is. Like, you fizzle out. And even with sketch groups, it's like you'll have an 8-week run here and an 8-week run there, and then you're like, we all got busy doing other things.
We all moved on to the next thing. Yeah, I can't even... Well, definitely my college team I was with for 3 years. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, we were together for 3 years. Or I was with them for 3 years.
Was that short form, or...?
It's called Droppin' Science, and they're still around.
Droppin' Science. I like
Science,
that.
named after a Beastie Boys song. Kind of tells you how old the team is.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
Yeah. It's really... The team transformed a lot over the time that I was on it. Mm-hmm. We got new coaches and stuff. But it was almost always long form.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. We didn't have an improv group in my school because we were a very serious theater school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Meisner. It was very intense.
Oh, man. What school did you go to?
NIU. We had, it's in the suburbs. And then while I was there, though, I started classes and would come here in the summers and started classes. So I'd come here every Sunday for classes at IO. So I finished IO, like, while I was still in school and, like, doing that. So then I was, like, for my senior project, I created a improv group because I was, like... This serious stuff is too stressful. We gotta chill out.
Yeah.
Because we would always do super serious plays, and I'd either be like, I was like, my first role was like I was a heroin addict. The first time my parents go see me in a play, I'm like a coked out heroin addict. It's a really good play though. It's oh gosh, my mind is blanking. Really good. Oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts. It will come to me later in the podcast, but it's a really good play that Bomb and Gilead by Lanford Wilson. It's a good play, but it was just like this. I was this crazy heroin addict, and like that's the first thing they saw, and they're like, okay, this sets the tone for the next 4 years.
I like that. I feel like there's some theater teachers where they're like, all they want to do are the most serious stuff ever. Mm-hmm. Which is like, I don't know, I find that funny, the ideas.
But that's what led me to doing comedy, because I was like, this is draining to do this, like, all these serious roles where I'm, like, dying or, like, in a prison or, like, all this stuff. And, so then I was like, oh, improv. I only have to rehearse 3 hours a week and I still get to perform every week? What?
Yeah.
And so that's how I started with that. But I think that there are, and I actually do also like serious improv. I've seen that done really well.
Yeah.
CIF brings some really interesting groups, and some of them are like, they try to do almost like plays, you know?
Yeah,
that are improvised, which I think is really cool to improvise the language.
Yeah.
That's like a totally different skill.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I used to be more interested in seeing that stuff. I don't think I ever saw it done well, so I was always like...
I saw it done well once. It was at CIF a few years ago. It was a group from Toronto called Impromptu Splendor. I don't know if they're still doing stuff, but what they would do is they would study a different playwright every week or every month, and then they would improvise in the style of the playwright.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they would have set characters. They would know who their characters were, but they'd improvise the language.
Oh, that's cool.
So they had sets, they had costumes, they had props.
So it was closer to like Commedia, where they had like stock characters that they would do?
Not stock characters. I guess stock characters for the playwright.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so they could work in his style, but,
Yeah.
and so that they had costumes, so it was more like a play. But that was amazing. I saw that and I was like, damn, that was really good.
So if it was like Martin McDonough, they'd have like the like, I don't know, like the town crazy person and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So like if they had a style, like if it was like Moliere, they would have like, you know, the crazy French woman, or like the different archetype, or the French maid or something like that. That's like, yeah. So like they would use those same because I think all playwrights kind of have that archetype. You know, Tennessee Williams, it's always like an alcoholic father.
Improvised Tennessee Williams would be fun.
Oh, that would be good. Improvised Jane Austen they do, which is cool.
Yeah, that's supposed to be really good.
Improvised Shakespeare I like a lot.
I did. My roommate does Hitchcock Tales, which
I've
sat
needed
in
to see
with
that
once. It's really good. When I did it, I found it like I just can't improvise like that. Like I'm not good at improvising in a style, I think.
Oh yeah.
But they're really, really good at it.
Yeah, it's like improv Shakespeare, which I love. But I was like so disappointed to hear that they're like, oh, we don't have girls perform with us.
That's bullshit. I don't care what they say about it.
Yeah.
It's 100% bullshit and always has been.
And I love Lane Swim, but I do think that that's a little ridiculous. Like, they said that they tried it once, but it didn't work because the guys like to play multiple roles, and it just didn't...
Good for them. They can give up some roles.
Yeah, I feel like there still is those issues with, you know, like, even stand-ups, like, all-male line, like, they've got, like, 8 people on a lineup, and it's all men. And, like, I still feel like there are those things.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd struggle with, like, what the best way to deal with that is. And I think the best way to keep myself sane as dealing with it is just ignore it and not book those people on my shows, kind of.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of just auditioning for something, like, for a male part? Because, like, you've said before in your act that you get mistaken for a 12-year-old boy sometimes.
Yeah, there's I'm not going to say the name of it, but there is a traveling improv company.
I was thinking about that, too.
And I wrote them so many letters that went so many emails, like, when they would send out an email being like, we need a male improviser. One of the few paying gigs in town, and they only would hire men for the longest time.
Do they still only hire men?
They just switched, and
yeah,
I auditioned for it, and I don't think I should have because it just made me angry.
Just like you start doing all these scenes where you're like mad and pissed off. You're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have auditioned because I was clearly...
Yeah, I think I just have a lot of resentments there, and I didn't work through those before I went into audition, and I walked out madder than I walked in. You know.
I think that is interesting that they just now, because I know what group you're talking about, and I won't say their name because I am glad that they did start doing that, but I remember seeing those ads, I was like, why is it just men? Why you only think that men can do improv for businesses and for corporations?
The reasons I always got was that they were afraid of women traveling with men on the road. And I was like, because they're like, you guys have to share hotel rooms. And I wanted to be like... Women have been traveling with men for theater since, like, the 1500s.
Yeah.
Like, this is not... if you have someone in the company who you're worried about, you should probably fire them because you're going to colleges, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But also, I gotta, I think, ignore that to some extent because it just makes me angrier than I think it's worth.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta move past it and work on your own shit.
Yeah.
Which is what how did you end up starting to do solo characters? Because I love Trash Baby. Like, that's one of my favorite characters. Shannon also does solo sketch where she creates solo characters, or she just plays around on the character, right?
Yeah, I started doing it at Underground Lounge.
Yeah?
Because the guys who run that are really sweet, and, like, I would do,
They're great for letting you try new shit. I still like going there if I have brand new stuff and want to go and try it out. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's like the original shithole. Like, in a way that, like, there didn't used to be, I think that, I guess the shithole, for people who don't know, is like a DIY attic space, or like rotating spaces around the city where people get to do 5 minutes of material each. But you're booked, so it's not like an open mic. And I think it was similar to that because there didn't used to be, like, there was like IO, Second City, and Annoyance, and there wasn't like a spot to just go try stuff out, in Playground.
Yeah.
You know, and that really was, you could just mess around.
Yeah.
And there'd be no audience there, but smell like garbage, but
but you don't care because you're either a new improv team and you're like, we want to try it out, or you're a stand-up that's not ready to do mics yet, or rooms that are intimidating like Cole's.
Yeah, and you can try weird shit. Like, my friend Orlando and I used to do a group called DOS, where it was like, we were originally supposed to have another member, so it was all our 3 names put together. But we would do, like, really weird stuff. Like, one time we made eggnog by taking cream and hard-boiled eggs and, like, rum and, like, squishing the hard-boils up. Like, it was, I don't even know, when we were dressed in Christmas costumes and tried to feed it to the audience. Like, it was, like, weird stuff that's, like...
That's how you get experimental comedy, you guys. Having spaces like that let you try literally everything.
Also, I don't know how they let us bring our own rum into a bar. And we ended up giving it to a guy who'd been overserved somewhere else and came in and drank it and then proceeded to pee on a chair.
What?
It was like...
During the show?
Like, right after the show, he just turned around and we were like, whoa, 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 dude. Like, we saw the bartender, like, leap over the bar, like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he was, like, peeing on the chair.
Oh, my gosh. That needs to be in a show somewhere.
Yeah, it was Wrigleyville. It was like a bro got lost and just came down and was like...
Oh, yeah. So Underground Lounge is, like, in this... like, underground bar that's, like, 2 blocks from Wrigleyville, like, 2 blocks from Boys Town, you know, and close to other, like, comedy theaters. But the thing is that you just get random people coming in thinking it's something else.
Yeah. It used to be, like, a really cool punk venue.
Yeah, they still have bands that, like, you know, like, they I think they just work when they got bands, like, because they got bands and then it gets full, like.
Yeah, they do. I my guess is that's how they're able to be, like, essentially closed most nights of the week, is that when they do get a show, they get a lot of people in for the
or
band.
it's just like a front for something else.
That would be totally understandable.
There are those places we go and I'm thinking, wait, this place is always dead. There's got to be a front for something. They got to have another business going on.
Do you remember that convenience store next to Three Dead Moose?
Yes, I always thought that was a front because it was the emptiest convenience store ever.
They had like 3 packs of cigarettes. And one time when I still smoked, I went in to buy cigarettes and I was like, I'll have some Camel Lights. And the guy was like, what? And I was like,
Camel Light, like
cigarettes, the one of the most popular kinds of cigarettes that you have right behind you, one of your 3 packs.
No, I thought that it was a front too because I've been in there and I was like, this feels like a fake convenience store. Feels like something that they would have like in like North Korea, you know, like the fake stores or something, because they didn't have anything.
There's like nothing there.
It was the most spacious convenience store I've ever been in.
It was just like, and then one time I saw the door open to the back and there was a kitchen back there, but everything, like the walls and everything, were covered in tinfoil. And I was like, what?
Why would they cover it in tinfoil?
Like they were making something back there.
Ooh.
That's what I think.
They were cooking. They were cooking stuff, but it closed, so maybe they got busted.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, maybe it was the delivery service people.
What's that?
The weed delivery service in Chicago. They got busted like a few weeks ago.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
dang.
they got raided. But like, they could have been more careful, I think, about how they operated because everybody knew they existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're just like, hey, this is a number. You could only get on their thing if you had 3 references to get in. And they confirm with people's phone numbers, but still, like,
That sounds like once that gets to a certain size.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I feel like not smoking weed, like, I miss out on a lot of cool stuff. I'm like, that would be cool. I just want to, like, buy weed just for the experience.
Have you ever done an edible?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sober now, so I'm not...
Oh, yes, I forget. Yeah,
yeah.
So, yeah.
But, I mean, that's not, you know... some people still smoke when they're sober or whatever.
Yeah, I guess there's different types of sobrieties. So some people are like, oh, yeah, I'm not drinking, but then they smoke 3 packs a day, or
yeah,
you know, so I feel like they might go to a different addiction.
Yeah, I think you can easily spread your addictions out. I think also for some people, like, some drugs just were never a problem, and they're okay with it. Like,
yeah,
there's definitely people who I think can successfully smoke weed, even if they don't drink, because I think they're very, very different.
Yeah.
But I just never liked weed anyway, so I'm like, why even mess around with it?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? If you don't like it, then why do it? Like that. Like I don't like smoking cigarettes, so I don't do it.
Yeah, which I love, but I gave up.
Good for you. I've always liked smoking weed, though. That's just something I've liked better than alcohol.
Yeah,
it's like I feel more in control. Oddly enough.
Interesting. I always liked alcohol better because I felt like it gave me more energy, and weed just makes me like either fall asleep or get scared and go in a corner.
See, that's why I like weed, because I take uppers all the time to stay awake, so I feel like I talk too fast, or I'm always paranoid about being annoying. Yeah. Like I'm always thinking, oh no, I talk too fast, or I talk too much because of my Adderall, or Ritalin that I take, and it makes me like uppity, you know, like I talk fast, I'm energetic, which is a good thing, and it's who I am. But sometimes I'm like, I need to chill out, so I smoke weed to chill out.
And it chills you.
Because I'm so paranoid about being annoying. I'm like, I'll have a conversation with somebody and like be like, oh god, that person hates me now. I talked way too much.
You talk too much. Interesting. I feel that way sometimes too, I think. More when I drank, because I definitely actually did talk too much. But like...
Yeah. When I get drunk, I just get quiet. That's somebody told my friend James. He said, "Yeah, I could tell you were drunk because you were just quiet, completely quiet."
Really?
Yeah. If I get super drunk, I'll just like be trying to not fall over.
Really?
Like, no, not that. I wasn't that drunk, but like I will just be like overthinking not overthinking everything, but I'll just be like the quietest like you'll ever see. If you ever see me quiet, I'm probably drunk.
Interesting. That's so funny. That's the exact opposite. That's how I get when I smoke weed. Is I get like I cannot physically speak. Like I can't figure out how to do it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You're like.
I'll be like, well, I can't even put thoughts together to make anything that I would want to say.
You must be smoking some good weed or just smoking it. You're like, hey, you know, I don't smoke weed often, but when I smoke weed, I smoke 3 blunts straight, you know?
I think maybe I'm just, like, affected by it really strongly, because it's like when people describe being way too high, I'll get that off of one hit, where I'm just like...
Whoa.
Yeah, where it's, like, unpleasantly high.
Yeah, you should just be high enough.
Yeah. The one time I did do edibles that were good, that weren't, like, the ones that, like, put you on the floor edibles, were, like, in the mountains in Boulder, and I did, like, a little tiny piece of a Blondie brownie. And now I was like, oh, I actually understand why people like being high. This is, like, pleasant, walking through the mountains.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice way to do it.
Yeah, but then I think I've never, like, it was very gentle and very, like, pleasant, but...
Yeah. So how long have you been sober?
I think, like, almost 19 months or something.
That's
like
fantastic. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's a lot of work. Especially being around bars and comedy all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I sometimes still get cravings when I'm at a bar, but usually I don't even think about it anymore. Yeah.
And I think it's odd because a lot of people think that it'd be a big deal, but I feel like comics are more understanding than anybody, that we all talk about our issues, or half of us are sober and it doesn't make a difference in terms of our friend circles, I don't think.
Yeah, the most common reaction I get is like, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, that says a lot about people.
Yeah, and I'm like, you can if you want to, but also, like, I don't care, you know?
You also must be saving so much money.
Yeah, I did the math. It's terrifying. I spent probably 10 grand a year on alcohol sometimes.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Or at one point, you know. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, if I had that money, I gotta not think like that. But I'm like, if I have all the money that I spent on vices, I would be so well off.
I think that's everybody, though. That's why when people try to quit cigarettes, there's like an app that calculates how much money you would have spent that day.
Yeah.
And so that helps motivate. It's like, hey, you haven't been smoking for 30 days. You saved $900. And like, holy shit, that's my rent, you know? So.
Yeah, when I quit smoking, like, I'm like, oh, wow. I like was a little bit more lenient with myself on like eating out and like buying new clothes and stuff like that.
Or you didn't have to worry about getting the next paycheck. It's so weird that if you're worried about money, just think about cutting off your vices, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would always be like, I had a good job when I was drinking, and I would never have enough money at the end of my paycheck, you know? And I'd be like, oh, I would have like more money than I knew what to do with. Like I would be able to save it.
Yeah. But I think that is an issue that like people in our generation have, is just because we kind of got the short end of the stick when it comes to job security and all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Jobs are the worst.
Yeah.
Like I know so many people looking for jobs right now, and the application process is just so disheartening. Where you're like, I have this much education or like this much job experience.
And it's still not good enough.
And there's nothing. And then like you're too experienced for other jobs where you're just like, I just need to make money right now, but like Family Dollar won't take me or whatever, you know.
It's so crazy. And they're so particular about things. They're like, well, we want to make sure that you want to stay like long term. And you're like, of course I don't want to stay long term.
Who wants to stay long? Nobody stays. But then, like, if you're at, like, a company, like, they don't want you to stay more than 3 years, you know?
Or even shorter term. Like, I work through creative agencies because that's how I get work because of my photography skill set. So, like, I take these jobs that are good-paying jobs, but they're only, like, 3 to 5 month, assignments, And so then they end, and they're like, well, that's all we had the budget for. See ya. And so it's like, okay, then I'm, like, trying to find work in between, and then, which is good because I get time to work in comedy, but then I like gotta wait till I find that next position. And so it's kind of like, it's good and bad, but at the same time it's like, I just wish like they would have those jobs available. Why do they have to be temp jobs? Like, why?
Yeah, just to have, well, 'cause it's cheaper for them.
Not really. If you ever do work a temp job, one time I worked a temp job, and part of my job was to do the budgeting for this thing. So I actually got to see what they were charging for me.
Oh, they charge a lot, yeah.
They charged, like, and this was a temp job I was getting paid, like, a decent amount at, because I was doing a producing thing. I think it was, like, 23 or 24 an hour.
Yeah.
And I looked, and they were charging, like, 45. And I was like, holy shit.
Whoa.
I was like, you know what? I would do this job for, like, 30 an hour and health benefits, and still it wouldn't cost you what you're paying their people,
Yeah. Wow.
It's insane. And I was just like, that is crazy. How do they just have that much money to throw around? I don't know.
Yeah, some places where I'm like, oh man, and they give you bonuses of like, I don't know. Like I've worked places where like they give you like gift cards and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't want this, just pay me more.
Oh yeah.
Or like they'll like put a ping pong office in the table. Or ping pong table in the office, and you're like...
Or they'll be like, free soda, and be like, no, I'm off sugar. I don't want the free soda.
I don't want all this free stuff. Just give me a decent living wage. Or like, I don't want like a party that I have to go to after work that you pay for the food at. Like I don't want to have to come back to work to go to a party. Just give me the money that you would have spent on that party.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think a lot of places do that to save money.
Or they also try to do the stuff to build morale, like they have the extravagant Christmas parties and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, you're spending 20 grand on the company Christmas party, like why not give people more bonuses?
Yeah, just give people Christmas bonuses.
Be like, hey, would you guys rather have a Christmas party or an extra $2,000?
Oh man. How great would that be if you could vote on that? Like, do we want a Christmas party or do we want the money from
Oh my god, that seems like a weird Survivor type reality show where it's like kick somebody out of the office. It's like, hey, how badly do you want to try to cook up with Cheryl at the office?
Yeah.
when she gets drunk at the Christmas party, like.
Oh god. Yeah. I would like to vote people out of offices sometimes.
Oh, that would actually be that'd be a fun thing, like a fun sketch at least, where it's like, hey, this is the office,
People off.
We're voting people off at the end of each week. Who's the least productive person?
Oh, Definitely Cheryl. All she does is look at pictures of chickens on the internet. Get rid of her.
She always comes in late. She wakes up at the time she needs to be at work.
Just described myself.
They would just be like, oh no, she's sleeping all the time.
Oh man, I used to nap in the server room sometimes.
I kind of tell people, like, I know you're not supposed to tell people at work, like, you don't have to, but it's like, if I don't, then people assume I'm lazy.
Oh yeah.
So, I kind of just be like, after I start and show that I'm actually doing work, I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, this is a thing I have, and, sometimes it makes it really hard in the morning for me to get there on time, and then occasionally, like, I'll get super tired and might just need to take a nap.
Yeah. That's good. I feel like it's good to tell people that, because then, like, it gives you some freedom to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Was, when your sibling got diagnosed, like, did she, how old was she?
She was already living in California, so she was an adult. I'm guessing in her early 20s, I think.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, so you weren't, like, living with her at the time, or, like, did you feel, looking back, were you like, oh, that makes sense, or did you know?
I think she's mildly narcoleptic, so it's not, like, really bad, but she was always, like, I don't know, my whole family is very sleepy. So it kind of
it is a little hereditary. Like, I found out after I was diagnosed that my mom has a mild case of it.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as bad as mine.
See, I think she has, like, my sister has, like, a mild case. So, like...
And it gets better as you get older, too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she was always, like, falling asleep in class and stuff. And my dad, like, falls asleep kind of everywhere. Like, he'll fall asleep all the time. Just, like, sitting, if he's reading a book, like, I would...
That's one of the 10... There's, like, 10 questions you can take a test on if you think that you could be narcoleptic, and one of those is, what is the likeliness if you're sitting and watching TV and not doing anything else, what's the likeliness that you'll fall asleep? And then if you're sitting and reading a book and nothing else, like, no music playing and nothing else, what's the chance that you'll fall asleep? And if it's, like, very likely... or all the time, then that's one of the signs that you could be.
Oh, cool.
So there's, like, a 10-question test, which maybe I'll put a link to.
Yeah,
but, like,
do
it's
that.
like a 10-question test, like, because I feel like it's so misdiagnosed, and I was talking to a girl I met at Annoyance, because I did Chucklefuckers, and she, like, listened to my set, and she's like, oh, like, I just got tested for narcolepsy. They said I didn't have it, and then she started describing things to me. I was like, no. And I think you have narcolepsy, and she explained that she's seen 2 doctors, and neither one of them wanted to diagnose her as narcolepsy because they're like, it would just make your life so much harder. And I was like, that's bullshit, because you need medicine, and your life is so much easier when you're on the medication.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the right medication, then it's doing a disservice to the person.
Yeah.
And I get that maybe before... you couldn't get insurance if you had a pre-existing condition. Yeah, maybe that made sense. Yeah. But now that you can't get denied, I don't think it's that,
Do you still drive, so they don't, like, and my sister still drives.
Yeah, I mean, they ask you, like, if you're on medication and it's manageable, it's okay. Like, I put certain rules on myself. It's not, like, a legal thing, but I don't drive more than an hour and a half by myself.
So that's why we go down to
Centralia
together.
Yeah, we both have family from, like, the smallest town in Illinois.
It's small,
Like, one of the small... Like,
I think St. Rose is smaller. That's, like, next to it, right?
Yeah,
it's
but it's, like...
100 people.
It's called, like, Centralia. It's, like, a super small town, but oddly enough, the Amtrak goes there.
Yeah, it used to be a railroad boom town.
Yeah, that's why my family lives there, because my grandpa used to work on the railroad.
Oh yeah, my family worked in coal mines, so that was their connection to it.
So, like, I used to go there, like, every month growing up. My uncle owns a bar there.
Yeah, because the Block, right?
Yeah, the Block.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Block Tavern.
Yeah, my uncle was a judge down there. Man, a librarian. I like going down there.
It's nice to get away, like, and the only thing I feel weird about is that there are all these people that have known me since I was, like, a little kid, and sometimes I don't remember their names, and I feel awful.
Oh, really?
They're like, oh, Sarah, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you since you were 12. I was like, I don't know who you are. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And they'll always go, my aunt and uncle, like, have a little cabin at the river. This is so country. But,
it is such a country town.
Like, they'll go down to the river and, like, just people, like, party and cook out at the river. And then they'll do things, like, for the kids. Like, they'll make little, like, Halloween. They'll have, like, a haunted hay ride.
Oh, that's
things
cool.
like that.
That's cool. I like it, yeah.
But
I went to Balloon Fest this year.
oh, Balloon Fest! I love that.
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid. They just have a bunch of balloons.
It's very Christian, too. I didn't realize that when I was a kid, how Christian it is. You can't, no one can drink there.
What?
Yeah. You're like, what?
What?
No, it's like, my uncle, like, lives right next to the park that it's at, so he always has people over to drink at his place and, like, pregame before they go to the Balloon Fest.
I didn't realize that. That was so Christian. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very Christian. It's something I didn't realize till I grew up, and I was like, oh, this the whole time has been very Christian.
But it is a very, like, you know, small town world thing, but very cool. Actually, I want to go back to a question I asked earlier because I forgot. How did you come up with Trash Baby? You mentioned that when you first performed it, but how did you come up with it?
Actually, that one, I started doing solo stuff at Underground Lounge. Trash Baby came out of my friend Shannon Jenkins, or I don't know, acquaintance, a guy I know. He's a really talented photographer, and he does, he was working on a shoot to sort of build his portfolio of doing characters, so it was called, like, the Character Collection.
Oh, cool.
And he had improvisers come up with a character, and then they would dress as that character and write a little blurb, and he would do a photo shoot with that. And so that's how Trash Baby came about.
Did you have ketchup drawings back then?
Yeah, I was, like, working in an office at the time, and I was like, oh, I gotta write something for this. And it just kind of, like, came about where I was like, Trash Baby. The name came first, and I was like, what the... Like, that'd be awful. And then I was like, all right, what would Trash Baby be? And then I just tried to write, like, a funny paragraph. And it came out of, I used to work at a convenience store. And I was like, it was kind of I think it was like a dissection of parts of myself. Mm-hmm. Where I was like, Trash Baby. Okay, Trash Baby is, like, an artist who works at a convenience store and is, like, only uses what's there at the convenience store, so ketchup packets and, like, cardboard.
Oh, that's great.
And drinks milk and smokes cigarettes at the same time. Like, just what's the grossest, like...
But what I like about the Trash Baby is that she's like, no, but this is art. Like, the Trash Baby has an ambition to be an artist, you know? And
Trash Baby is an artist.
Trash Baby is an artist. And Trash Baby uses whatever means that she has, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
It's kind of turned into a fun thing to explore, like, just, like, people's, I don't know. I like music, because it's, like, I love art, and it also, like, art is really stupid sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I'm not good at art, like, I'm not good at so it's, like, that would be awesome, because you don't have to be good for that to work.
You just draw.
You're like, hey, because I remember one time you did my show, and you're like, you know... Do you have who has a dead pet? And you like drew their dead pet or something with ketchup, and that was awesome. They loved it.
I just like how gross it is to hand someone a piece of paper with ketchup all over it. And then some people, like, are trying to keep it, where they're like, I feel like I should keep this because someone made it for me.
It's like a precious thing. Like, I guess when people have kids, like, they might make something, and you're like, okay, this is weird, but I will frame it and put it up.
The shithole still has, I think, one of Trash Baby's first paintings. The first time I did it, the first time I did Trash Baby live was at the shithole.
Yeah.
And I think that they still have a painting on the wall from Trash Baby, which is brown at this point and really gross.
Oh gosh, like, do you think eventually there'll be, like, bugs covered in it, or, like...
I mean, it's been there for, like, 2 years at this point.
2 years. Well, I guess ketchup dries, so that you picked a good medium.
I guess so, yeah.
If it was, like, peanut butter or something, maybe not.
You're right. Yeah, ketchup is just, like, vinegar and sugar, kind of, so I think it just dries out. Maybe it did attract bugs already.
Yeah. I love Shithole. That's I love that show and that space.
It's such a great resource for this city, like, such a great asset.
And you've been here a while, right? How long have you been here in the city?
9 years, a little over 9 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
What about you?
About the same. Like, I guess because of college, traveling here and there, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like about the same, Because, I mean, I started I.O. when I was still in school, and that was about then. So.
What year did you start I.O.?
2000, oh, God. It's like 7, 8.
I'm wondering, because I started in 2007, so
and then I did conservatory, like, after that.
Okay.
And then I did I.O. And then I took a little time, and then I did because I was going back and forth from school, and, like, did conservatory, finished that, and I was still, like, doing sketch groups and improv groups and things like that. And then I took a little time and didn't do it for a while. And then I did IO again. Like, I went through, because you used to be able to take classes half off if you had done IO completely.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
I don't know if they do that. I think it's, like, if you've taken the class within a year, which doesn't make sense. But
yeah, why would you take it? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So I was just like, I wanted to retake level 2 again for characters. I wanted to retake level 3, and then I retook level 5 and 5B. And like that time around, Cecily Strong was in my 5Bs, and like John Reyes, who runs like the Sketchfest and stuff now,
cool, yeah.
and like so it's very cool to see where people. And one of the first classes I was in, 80 was in one of my classes, 80 Bryant, who's on SNL. So
yeah.
But it's like that, but it's very cool to see the people I've like done stuff with, because I like improv, and I'm a good improviser. With some people, I'm great, but I'm not a consistently great improviser.
Yeah.
And I know that about myself. I'm better with written stuff.
Yeah.
So that's totally fine with me.
Yeah. Improv is...
Have you ever, have you ever dated somebody in the scene, or are you against dating, like, people in comedy?
I've almost exclusively dated comedians, I think.
Yeah?
Like, yeah. Only recently have I been like, I don't want to date or I want to try not dating comedians.
It's weird, because up until, like, for a long time, it was hardcore, no, I'm not going to hook up with stand-ups, no, I'm not going to, date stand-ups, and recently I was like, maybe it makes sense.
Yeah.
Timing-wise, but it's probably a horrible idea.
Yeah. I think it's fine. I don't know. It's hard to know, because, like, it's super convenient because somebody already knows what your schedule is. And if you date outside, I feel like you have to do a lot of explaining depending on the person.
Yeah, where were you until 1 a.m.? I was hanging out with people at a bar like I do every night.
Yeah. Like, oh, were you having a good time? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't. I was trying to get my money after show. No, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just had situations where guys were, like, jealous or didn't get it. And I was like,
yeah.
They're like, you're hanging out with all these guys. It's like, yeah, comedy's a lot of guys. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's not all the time, but, like, some would be vocal about it, and some were like, okay, like, fine. They would act like they were okay with it, but they weren't.
Guys are the worst. No, I don't know. I guess, like, there's probably women like that, too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think both. I feel like women I think that women understand me more with that stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just because we're both women and we know how to communicate to each other. I think the biggest problem with men and male-female relationships are that there's that lack of communication, and that guys, are more action-based than word-based, and women are more, Like, I feel like with women, it's just so much easier to talk, like, not just relationships, but, like, friendships, too, or dating or anything. It's just like, oh, yeah, I felt weird that you blew me, I felt bad that you blew me off because I felt like we should have been doing that. And like, oh, I didn't feel like I was blowing you off. I felt like I was delaying it. And then you talk about it, and then it's not an issue. Yeah. Versus when you date a guy, it's just, I've always had problems, like, having those conversations.
Where you're like, yeah.
I don't know. What about you? Do you think there's different communication issues, or?
Yeah, I think that, like, it's hard because I've never had, like, a really serious relationship, so I don't know, I guess, within, like, a romantic relationship exactly how that is, but, like, with friendships, definitely, I don't know, I'm, like, I get so mad at guys, but I think it's probably because of communication thing.
Yeah. I think sometimes guys are just dumb sometimes, or just oblivious and don't realize things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know. I feel like it's more different person to person, I guess, than it is, or at least maybe I want it to be different person to person than between the genders or sexes or whatever.
I guess you're right. I don't know. I guess maybe just because I've, like, I don't know. I think I just started noticing that. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but.
Yeah. I think when I did date men, it was always very, like, emotional men.
You chose emotional men. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're very feminine, I guess.
Yeah.
And so my experience with men is that they're more difficult than women.
Did you know at the time that you preferred women, or was it just like when you were dating men, you were just like, that's the kind of men you were attracted to, and then you later realized?
I think it was the men that, I don't know, I still haven't, like, unpacked it all, but I didn't know that I was gay. I would just choose men and be like, that one. Like, I'd just be like, so other men wouldn't ask me out.
I used to have horrible gaydar. Like, in the 6th grade, I had a crush. I had crushes on, like, gay boys all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't get why. Like, I remember, like, on the 6th grade, I liked this guy. His name was Christian. And he, like, looking back, I was like, he was so gay. And I did not realize that at the time. But I was just, like,
Yeah.
It was just a very different thing. But I think people are just attracted to different things. And I think it could just be a person, too, you're attracted to, not a gender.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was never attracted to the guys that I dated. I still am figuring it out. Like, I don't know how to date people that I'm attracted to yet.
Yeah.
Because I spent so long, I think, like, dating in a different, like, mindset where I was like, I'm supposed to be dating people, so I would just choose people logically, and I'd be like, this person logically makes sense.
Oh, so you didn't choose them because you were attracted. You're like, I want to date this person. You're just like, oh, this makes sense. We're both doing this same thing, or we're in this circle and we like each other, so it makes sense.
Or I'd be like, I wouldn't even know. I'd be like, that person is hitting on me, and this would be, I probably owe it to them to date them.
See, I've always felt weird. The thing that I haven't gotten is because with guys, it's very easy for me to understand if there's something, or a guy's into me, or, like, there's a possibility of something happening. But with girls I find attractive, I'm like, I don't even know if they like women, and I don't know how to go about, like, pursuing that.
Yeah.
And that's an issue I have, personally, that I get nervous at. I'm like, oh, I feel this way. Oh, I think I kind of like this girl, like, more than a friend, but would I ruin the friendship if I tried to make a move?
Right.
And it's like, I don't know what to do.
Well, I think that's, like, guys have been socialized to make the first move. Mm-hmm. And women have been socialized to be passive about it.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah, so I think it's different, just, like, learning how to approach someone, which I'm not good at yet.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I ask her if she is into women without being offensive?
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, have you ever dated a girl?
Yeah, it's almost like you have to, but I hate it when, like, guys hang around to see if it'll work, without, like, being direct, when you can tell that they're just, like, hanging around.
Like, the only reason they're friends with you, or they help you move, or they help you do whatever, is because they're just hoping that one day you're gonna pick them to make out with her.
Yeah, or they're hanging around to be like, to feel it out, to see if you're interested, but you know that that's why they're hanging around, and they're not picking up on the fact that you know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's very weird when they don't do that.
But then it's like with women, you're like, you almost have to hang around to be like, are they gay or are they?
And that's the thing. It's like, I want to develop a friendship with a specific person I'm thinking of, and it's like, but I don't want them to think the only reason I was friends with them was because I was trying to hook up with them.
Yeah,
but
that's hard,
I'm
too.
like, how can I do that without being friends with them and getting to know them more to know if they're even interested?
Yeah, to know if they're...
That's such a weird...
I know what you mean. Yeah,
catch-22, and I'm like...
I think for me, usually I'm like, if they don't want to hook up with me for the most part, usually I'm like, I still want to be friends with this person.
I think the problem is because when you say that to a guy, you say that and you're never friends, really. Like, you're acquaintances, like, you'll see each other around, but you don't, like, hang out and be friends.
Yeah.
Because guys' egos maybe can't, not just, maybe I'm generalizing, but guys' egos maybe can't handle that.
Yeah, or that they've been taught that their egos can't handle that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Because I think I've remained friends with guys who've hit on me. Or even that I've slept with and stuff, and it's just not even an option anymore, but we're still friends, where I'm like, but I think it takes, like, a cool dude for that to be the case, Yeah,
I recently had this experience where we actually had a good conversation. I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, like, I think maybe you've just dated people that didn't know how to communicate,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, maybe, yeah.
And I was like, oh, because I think, all the guys I've dated don't communicate well, but this one guy did, and we were on the same level, and we got it, and we're still friends. we don't hook up anymore. We're still friends. And so I'm like, oh, that's good. That's possible. You just have to find a mature guy that knows how to communicate.
Yeah, if you can be direct. I think that's with anyone, too. Like, where you can be direct about things and be like, this is what I'm feeling right now. Checking in to see if we're on the same page. If we're not, then we go from there. If we are, then great.
I think that's with roommates, too. Like, that's how you find good roommates. You're like, hey... Like, I am not a passive-aggressive person when it comes to roommate, you know? Like, if I'm upset about something, I let you know. Yeah. I am not, and I do not like having roommates that, like hold things in and then bubble them up. Like, I like someone to just be like, hey, you left the dishes in the sink. Like, please clean them up, you know? I think instead of, like, leaving a passive-aggressive note or something.
Right, where you're like... I think that's a maturity thing, too, where it's like, you have to be... It's almost like a trust thing, where you're like... I trust you enough to tell you when I'm upset about something, and you have to be able to trust me enough that I will tell you when I'm upset about something, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that if I don't tell you about it, then I'm not allowed to be upset about it, kind of. Like, if it's something that I let go over and over and over, then that's my choice.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't tell someone that this is something that bothered you or whatever, like, you can't blame me for that.
Yeah.
If you didn't tell me you're allergic to cheese and I make you grilled cheese sandwich, you can't be mad. Like, you can't be mad.
Man.
You can't be like, I can't believe you cooked me grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm allergic.
I have known people who are mad about cheese before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's so weird because it's like...
People are passionate about cheese.
Or like... It's always weird to me when somebody is, like, mad about their own dietary restriction. Where, like, I get it. Like, I'm vegan, and sometimes I get frustrated if I'm, like, somewhere and there's absolutely no vegan options. I'll be frustrated, but I'm not, like, mad. And then... Yeah. But, like, people who are, like, go somewhere and they're, like, like, I can't believe that you don't have, like, gluten-free or whatever it is.
I'd be like, it's 2016. Why don't you have gluten?
Yeah.
It is weird. I think a lot of places, probably, though, if you were traveling, like, on the road, like a road comic, it'd probably be really hard to find stuff, though.
For vegan?
Maybe.
When I've gone on the road, I've done vegetarian.
Oh, okay. So you're okay with doing... You're not, like... have to do it all the time if there's options.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still will play around with it. Like, I haven't gone on the road that much. I'd like to stay vegan because I feel better. I think it could be doable. I think you just have to bring a lot of your own food.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm lactose intolerant, so when I eat cheese, I feel disgusting, but I love it.
Yeah. With vegan, so you, like, do you feel like better, like, because you have a very clean lifestyle, so you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't eat meat or cheeses or anything. Do you feel like, compared to when you weren't those things, do you feel like you're cleaner? Do you think that you're happier? Do you think that, like, what kind of effects does it have on you?
Yeah, I think I just feel, like, lighter. Like, I don't know, I just feel like I have less, like, crap.
Yeah.
You know? I still don't eat healthy, though. Like, sometimes... Like, I do generally eat healthy, but, like, I'll eat, like, garbage food, like, garbage vegan food, like Oreos. And...
I think people just assume that vegan equals healthy.
It is if you have time to cook for yourself. Like, when I'm cooking at home and I'm eating vegan, I feel fantastic.
I just cook all my meals, like, once a week, and I put them in little containers.
Yeah.
And it's the same meal. It's boring as hell, but it saves me money, and then I don't have to think about it, and I'm eating healthier.
That's when I'm on my shit, that's what I do, but, like, I am so lazy. Like, a lot. I just, like, when I'm at home, I'll just be like, all I want to do is just sit for a minute.
But do you ever have those cravings? Like, for vegan, for non-vegan things? Like, do you ever have a meat craving or something?
I've been vegetarian for a long time at this point. Like, I don't really get... The only thing, and I think a lot of vegetarians say this, is sometimes when I smell bacon, I'm like, oh, God, that smells great. But I think the last time I ate bacon, I was like, bleh. You know, so it's just, like, the smell.
It's like going off of, like, sugar or caffeine or something. Like, when you start it again, then you, like, get a headache or you get, like, an adverse effect.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I think I have eaten meat, like, a few times since I've been vegetarian. And I just never feel good afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's never, like... occasionally I'll be like, oh, I feel like I was maybe missing some nutrients and that felt good to eat. But if I'm eating like a balanced diet, I never really miss it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to eat healthier. I find when I eat healthier, I stay awake better.
Yeah.
But it's never been enough for me to not take medicine, but it's nice.
I also have ADD and or whatever they're calling it now. And I found that, like, I read this thing a long time ago that, like, artificial dyes make ADD way worse.
What?
And I had noticed, like, when I was still eating cheese, if I ate, like, the orange cheese, my ADD would get, like, 100 times worse.
I had no idea. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so I kind of, like, I don't encounter that many artificial, I mean, I do, but, like, for whatever reason, it's that orange dye that really does it.
So I'm trying to do no processed sugar right now, which is so hard.
Oh, how does that
sugar is
feel?
in everything.
It is. It's so hard.
I had a headache for the first 3 days.
Yeah.
I had a headache because I'll do fruits or natural sugar, or like sometimes if it's got like 1 gram of sugar or like less than 1 gram, I'll do it. But like, you know, like peanut butter, it's hard to find any peanut butter that doesn't have any sugar.
You almost have to make your own.
Yeah. Well, they have one that's got like 1 gram of sugar in it, so I'll do that.
Yeah.
But like most of the time, I'm trying to go like no processed sugar, which is super hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
It's super hard, and it's like the only thing I'm not checking is I'm not checking drinks. I'm assuming that it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, does ginger beer have sugar? I don't know.
Ginger beer? For sure.
Yeah, I know. That's the one thing I've been breaking. But I've only had like 1 drink this week, so that was that. But
yeah.
But I've been trying not to, and it is so hard.
How does it feel?
I feel better, but I definitely am craving the sugar. Like I'm getting fruits and bananas and things like that. But like I'm just trying to not. But it made me realize how much sugar is in everything.
It's so hard.
Sugar is in everything.
Have you ever? There's like documentaries on that. And stuff
Yeah, I saw Fed Up.
Yeah.
Fed Up is when I first saw it. I was like, oh shit.
It's so crazy how it's like. It's such a financial thing where it's
and they found out that these people, the sugar companies, paid off these people that did a Harvard study in the 60s that defined how we decided that sugar was worse than fat. If fat was worse than sugar.
Really?
And that was in the 60s. And that's the reason why everyone's so addicted to sugar nowadays. And that's because of the study that they paid them off like $100,000 or something, like, which was a lot of money back then.
Right. Because now, people are like, they will be like, oh, this is like a fat-free food, but then you look at the sugar content and it's like really high.
Well, the thing is that in Europe and every other country, like there's a daily percentage value of what, and they have a sugar percentage. And I think like in most like European countries, it's like 28 grams of sugar is like your max.
That's so little compared to what
and the thing is, like most sodas, most everything would be over like 200%, which is why they don't have the percentage on there.
Yeah.
But I think Michelle Obama has been fighting to have that, and I think as of like next year they're gonna be required.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that it will be required to show the daily percentage value, so that people that don't usually like notice, 28 grams of sugar, they have no idea how much that is.
Yeah.
They can actually see that, oh shit, that's 300% of the daily value. I'm gonna pass on this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but to eating healthy and trying to better our bodies, right?
Right.
I always end the podcast by asking people. I know we didn't really talk that much about sleep or dreams, but I just ask people like, what are your dreams for the future? Like your hopes for yourself.
My hopes for myself.
Aside from having a furniture thing
I want to have a general store in Vermont. I just want to be like, have a career where I can feel artistically fulfilled, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it's kind of ever changing for me, but I like writing and performing and like creating all at once. So something that's incorporates all those things.
Yeah. I think that there's some stuff out there that you could probably get on and do.
Yeah.
Create yourself.
Totally, yeah. And I like having like a finished product.
To show people I have something that you're like, I did this.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks.
We always end by going to sleep, so good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Shannon Noll. You can follow Shannon on Twitter at Snapplegate87 and on Instagram at ShannonLKnoll. This podcast is part of the Laugh Factory Podcast Network. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. This podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can view more on sleepingwithsarah.com, and please follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Until next time, good night.
Sleeping with Sarah.